Hello YouTube, Marielle here. Today I would like to talk about how narcissists or people like my wolf slash husband, they are very comfortable with lying, deceiving, and they can be so comfortable. It comes so naturally to them that it's almost undetectable unless you know what you're looking for, unless you know what to look for, and unless so many things have happened that when you look back, then everything becomes apparent and obvious. Here is something that happened with my wolf. We're talking here about a man who is 6'2" and in good shape, very lean, nicely built, and this was a few years back. Like, we're talking here almost 8 years ago. All I can remember is that the children were already gone to school because they were not there, and I had an errand to do. So I got into the car and I left, and my wolf I left him in the shower. So I said goodbye, got out, got into the car and drove off. But before I reached the end of my street, I remembered something. I had forgotten something. So I came back. As I came back through the kitchen, I was about to reach the living room when I saw my 200-pound, 6'2" husband naked, running from one space of the house to the other. And I do mean running, literally legging it like that, naked. And he almost slipped because his feet were wet. And at some point when he was running, his privates were flipping around, so he ended up, taking one hand and covering his stuff, and ran for it. All the time looking at me as he was running, straight into, just looking at me, and with the, a normal face on. I would say it was a normal face on. It was just all I could do. I was laughing. Like most of the stuff that he does, and when I find things, and I just laugh. I just could not understand what he was doing. The thing is, I instinctively knew that for him to be running, it meant that he was doing something that he wasn't supposed to do. But that was all I thought. I didn't think much more than that. And I didn't even ask for any explanation. At the time, during that period, we weren't particularly getting on. There was some tension there, and sometimes, you know, things would be a little bit too much, so I would get upset with him and not talk to him. I think at the time it was a case of I was upset with him because he wasn't helping as much. He wasn't doing as much as I expected of him, and I was just hurting for the children. And this is what I found out many years later. And if this happened 8 years ago, I think I discovered what happened, the reason for his running and naked and all of that. I found out the reason about 3 years ago. So yes, it took me about 5 years for things to unfold naturally by themselves and by accident for me to fully comprehend. And I just did. That wasn't even fully comprehending. That was me 5 years later, only able 5 years later to understand just a part of what was all of his running naked was all about. And only now, fast forward 3 years after, so the full 8 years after, that's me now understanding the second part, the second component of what that was all about. This is what I found out. My wolf, since I've known him, has never willingly participated into helping raise the kids in any capacity. He's never wanted to do family things with us. Every single time if for any reason he helped or took part on it, it meant that I had to beg for it. I had to ask for it and nag and nag and nag, which not nagging, it's begging, over and over and for a long period of time before he would finally agree to actually be part of doing what it is that I was asking him to do, needed him to do for the children. It's always been like that. So after a while of this happening over and over, you know, I took matter in my own hands and got into the habit of just getting on and looking after my kids and doing what, you know, what was needed, which really left me to really feel like I was a single mother. I have been a married woman for the best part of my adult life, and yet I have been a single mother. I have felt single. And I'm somebody who like to take pictures, and I've always liked documenting everything that happened, you know, with the children. But because he's never around when I take those pictures, you know, well, I didn't think much of that because it's a case of he's never there. So it goes with the understanding that he doesn't care about those pictures, right? And what I found out was basically he was coming into my office every time he came back to visit us, to be with us. Instead of investing and spending time with us and doing things with us so it could be part of, you know, family pictures and everything. He preferred to just come and steal the pictures from me. He would go into my office, search my camera, and download everything. Download all the kids' pictures, all the pictures that I took from, you know, the different things that I did with the kids, the different things the kids did at school. And probably then use those pictures to send them to his family and his friends and whoever, and show them off as if he was a participant of, you know, as if he had been there himself and as if he had taken the pictures himself. And what's wrong with that is that he never asked. All he had to do was ask. Even if I was to have been upset, even if I would have said to him, listen, you never there, so why do you care? You never helped. You know, if you were there, then you'll be part of those pictures. Why do you think you're entitled to, you know, I would have probably said something like that. But I never even got the chance to even have that argument, because he decided that he was just going to steal the pictures. And this is basically the final part of my discovery recently, is that this is who they are. They are entitled. They don't care. And they take what they want. They literally take what they think they deserve or belongs to them, or no matter the reality or the truth behind everything. And there's no shame. And as I remember my very tall husband, completely naked, running and almost slipping and falling, and at the same time looking at me as he ran, there was no shame. You know, there wasn't a... And that's the thing, because there was no shame there, so because there was no shame in his face, in his whole demeanor, except the running, there was no way for me to suspect just the level of deception he had just engaged in. To me, it was just a case of, you know, because there was a little tension at the time, so he probably just went to look for something, and he just didn't want me catching him in, you know, in my space, which is my office, you know, place where I do all sorts of stuff, just like he has his own office. So there was just no way of suspecting, you know, that there was so much more attached to that, you know, mere seconds of him just legging him from one corner of the house to the other corner of the house. And I found out about the pictures by accident when one day my computer, I think, was having problems, and I needed a zip drive to back up my documents and stuff, and they happened to have a zip drive, so I borrowed it from him. And just by sheer curiosity, I wasn't, you know, suspicious of it or anything. I just went to just look at all of his stuff that was saved, and there were pictures, all the pictures that I've taken with the children, and even some that I had gone missing from my own files, from my own SD card from the camera, because there were pictures that I knew I'd taken, and I could not find them. They had disappeared, and for many years I was like, what happened to those pictures? I'm so sure I took those pictures. I just could not understand why I could not, find those pictures. And literally he had deleted them from my SD card or memory card, from my own camera, and while he kept copies of them. This is just truly incredible. How could I have married somebody like that? They are a very, very different type of human. They really don't function in a normal way.